Good morning, everybody. I think it's recorded. Good morning, everybody. You are watching the Reds Report. I am Chris Ridyard. Two guests alongside me today. Two very aesthetically pleasing young managerial guests. Jimmy Whitehead of Momentous Academy and Houghton Main manager. You all right, Jimmy?
Yes, I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good. You're looking well. A bit tired. Are you tired?
I'm always working, you know that.
Busy man, busiest man in Barnsley. Speaking of busy men in Barnsley, we have Barnsley Women Football Club manager Andy Glossop. You all right, Andy?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, good. Nice to see you. Looking well. I guess before we start, both of you, since you've both been on episode once before, I'm like, Jimmy, you've been on twice before. I think you're heading for an hat trick. Am I right in thinking it's your first time on, Andy?
Yeah, my debut today, yeah.
Debut, yeah. Looking for a good one. Hopefully you'll score. But yeah, first and foremost, congratulations to you both on your new roles in football. Andy taking over from Chris Hamilton as Barnsley Women's manager. Yeah, congrats on that. I bet you're pretty excited.
Yeah, it's just thought it was the right opportunity really at the right time, and too good of one to turn down really. It's just weird circumstances for everybody, isn't it? I think with this season as a whole, but yeah, just looking to improve really and trying to take the team further again. Of
course, very exciting time. And yourself, Jimmy, obviously you're very busy with Momentous Academy, obviously scholarship and stuff at Barnsley. You and Martin been really busy with the Momentous. I know there've been some holiday camps and stuff, but then you're still not busy enough. You've now accepted job as Houghton Main manager. Where do you find the time, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, it came. I mean, I was doing Worsborough Bridge under 21s, so I've left that role, which were like a midweek league, really. So looking to get into sort of Saturday football, and just good opportunity. Just came at the right time. Everything happened within a week, really, that we left there, got this job. And obviously things like at the minute, it's strange in terms of no Barnsley matches, in terms of not going to watch and things. So everything just felt like the right time to get into sort of men's football now. First team job. Great facilities, to be fair, at Houghton as well. Lovely pitch. So yeah, just seemed the right move for us.
Yeah, and of course circumstances. Andy, you mentioned circumstances prior to that. They've played into your hand in terms of becoming manager of Barnsley women's team. I know a lot of off the pitch issues in terms of players leaving, possibly should have been promoted, possibly robbed to a certain degree. So it's been a difficult start for yourself, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been like I say, very difficult, very strange in a way. I think similar to like Jimmy mentioned, it sort of happened for myself in very quick circumstances. So sort of on the Monday, still like assistant manager. Then I got the call saying Chris was leaving for various reasons. I then met with the chairman on the Wednesday and then got appointed. And then it was putting it in place, really, trying to put plans in place. But you're speaking to the current players. And at the time when we started pre-season training, we could only train in groups of 6. No contact football. So you're trying to get new players in. You're trying to speak to existing players when you can't actually watch them in a game because it couldn't be competitive. It's all unopposed stuff, passing, fitness. And, to be honest, I've still got a good relationship with a lot of the girls that did leave. A couple of are not playing at all. They're sort of enjoying the Sundays off and the body's not aching. Yeah. We've had a couple of people move clubs. But yeah, on the whole, I'm happy with the squad we've got now. And we're sort of building and moving forward. But yeah, it's just been, like I say, just a strange time and lots going off.
Yeah. So we'll bring that back to Barnsley Football Club in terms of they've now got a new gaffer as well, which is why I wanted you to on the show, being new bosses in a similar role to a certain degree. Obviously, neither of you two have replaced the manager that's left for New York. Not yet. I'm sure that will happen at some point in your career. Jimmy, what's the first thing when Andy's been appointed there? He's mentioned having the meeting with the chairman. He's gone through the process. What is the first thing on your mind when you get that job? What's the first thing that you want to get right?
Well, I think the first thing before that even happened for me, I wanted to make sure that the assistant that I had with me at Worsborough wanted to come with me as well. So that was really important. We worked together at Barnsley Shadow Scholars, me and Riddy, and I needed him there. And I said to him, I'm not going to do it without him. And I know he's committed and I know what he can do and he knows me. So that was the first thing. We spoke for a while and he wanted to come and join me. We've had a third assistant come as well. So that was the first thing, really, got that sorted. when we then get to the club, the difficulty we had were they've already had 3 matches already this season.
Right,
so
okay.
literally didn't know anybody who played for them. I also wanted to check with some of the lads I had at Worsborough and the Shadow Skulls that they wanted to come as well, because as managers tend to do, they bring some of their own players in because they know how I coach and they know what kind of things I want, and I know them now. The hardest thing were probably speaking to we had a training session, just one session before our first game, and there were maybe 25 players there, some of the new players, the ones that are already there, and it's trying to select a squad for the first game, which we had last Saturday, and unfortunately you're going to upset people straight away, which is not what you want to do, but there's players there who are at Houghton Main thinking they should be in, there's players who we've brought in, expecting to play because that's the reason we've kind of brought them in. So we had a bit of a tough, had a few sort of phone calls with players. To the way I want to do it is ring them up and be honest and say, look, you've not got in the squad this week, but this is the reason why. And it's not that we don't fancy it or you're not going to ever play. It's just the fact that at the minute I don't really know you. So the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to have to learn on the job, both of us really, in terms of training. We're only going to be training once a week because that's the level you're at. And then you're going to select from training. Some people are not here. We've had 2 people already off with COVID. So one of the players who played last week who got it kind of this midweek from work, so he can't play this weekend. So it's a bit of a strange one. So you are going to need a big squad, and that's what I've tried to explain to people. And in a way, it's good that they're not happy that they're not playing because it means that they really want to do. And but it's just getting to know everybody. So we had a meeting and just said, look, this is how it's going to be, but bear with us, and everybody will get the chance and opportunity, but it might take others longer than some other people, really. So it's been a bit of a tricky one.
Yeah, Jimmy, I've only asked you there, what's the first thing you do as a football manager? And you've given me a massive list there. You've gone on for it just shows how much actually goes into it. I don't think people realise. I think it's just a case of selecting a team and going out and playing. It's a massive job. And I guess taking over something like that, I mean, myself, I can only relate it to my current job. I've taken on some numerous responsibilities this summer. And it's a case of turning things around really quickly. I guess it's sometimes, where do you start with that? Andy, Jimmy's mentioned his backroom staff and getting them right. Obviously, the new Barnsley manager, he's lost one of his backroom staff. He's brought one of his own in. Is that something that you'd agree with in terms of the first thing that needs to be done? Jimmy has also mentioned recruitment of players. Is it a case of making sure there's more people on your side of the fence than there is on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, I think like you say, the first thing you want to do is get your backroom staff right, because they're the people, and especially in this sort of season, like you mentioned, Jim, as well, with COVID as well, if I'm off for a week, which I've had to do this season, I've had to miss a rival game against Brighouse because I had to get a test. You want to know you've got your staff there that are going to have the same sort of standards, same sort of ethos, and follow everything you believe in. So I think that's important. It was a bit of a strange one for me, because again, going from sort of assistant manager to manager, I didn't really have that many people, I suppose, that were in the women's game or that I'd worked with previously, because I was in that position last year. So it was about contacting people that I knew over the last 2 or 3 years, I suppose, within the game and football itself, that I'd brought people in. And then, like I say, I think the next biggest thing is knowing where players stand. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I like to think I'm very honest with players. And that's all I asked them to be honest with me. So at the beginning of the season, some of the players I spoke to that were with us, I just wanted an honest answer. I was like, look, if you're going to go and train elsewhere, if you want to go and try it, if you're not interested, that's fine. I'd just rather know now exactly where we stand. I told them what my beliefs were, what I wanted formation tactically, where they fitted within that system. But ultimately, if they didn't want to be here, then in the nicest way possible, I didn't want them either. So, if I'd already sold them the dream as such, and if they didn't want to be here because of that, then fine.
Of course. You both mentioned recruitment already. Barnsley manager Jimmy currently has managed players that he's got in that team before in another job. Mm-hmm. And you've seen a pattern of that forming with Barnsley in terms of the markets they're looking in for players and they're looking in similar markets for the managers. Does that help you, Jimmy, when you arrive? And I know you mentioned you didn't know many of the players, or you didn't know any of the players. Surely it helps, in Andy's case, knowing some of the players already, knowing what type of characters you've got in there, does it not?
Yeah, I think that's why we were keen to bring bring guys in. It's probably that you trust them and you know exactly what they can and can't do, so you can hit the ground running a little bit. Now, with our first squad, we sort of had a bit half and half, really. So you can put some of the lads in you're not sure of or you don't know, but you can rely on the ones you do. So I can see from sort of management point of view that I think it probably does help if you've got one or two. They can maybe lean on those to sort of ask you what it's been like and what the group's like, and maybe ask them about one or two characters. I went and watched Houghton Main the week before when they were kind of, sort of talking to them about getting the job. So I saw one game. So I just wrote little things down about players that I liked, things that maybe I didn't like, or things I need to ask them about, and not make a decision and judge them on one game, because that's not the right thing to do. It's not fair. But I said to the players, you kind of were at an advantage that I have seen you play if you played well, but you might be at a disadvantage if you didn't do too well, because I've actually seen you and some of the other guys I haven't. But it's not about judging it on one game. It just gives you a little bit of a basis. But for me, we're all about backroom staff. And with Bedding, I've got another guy, Dean Shirt, who's coming, who I played with for a long time and I played, so I trust him as well. And although I'm the manager, we do it as a three, so we can talk to each other about any of the games and training, and it's not just Jimmy says we're doing this, we're doing that, but we'd kind of come up with the same answers usually, which is why I want to work with them. And same with the players, they can come in on last week and say, right, we know what system he likes to play. We know kind of the way we want, a style we want to play, and then the other out and lads who come in can then pick that up a little bit quicker because they can be helped by the lads who have come in. But I think it's just merging the two sets of players together into one club, and that, you know, the lads who are coming in thinking it's just our team we're taking over, because that's not what's going to happen, and that the out lads thinking it's just going to be them, because it's not. There's going to be players coming in that will help them as well. But it's just getting them to understand that. I think that was the hardest thing, and we're still in the process of doing that at the minute, if I'm totally honest.
Do you think it raises the standards? So my point is, like, you're going into a new team there where you bring in players that you know and trust. Does that automatically raise the standards? Because the players that Houghton Main are going, well, do you know what? I need to prove that I'm better than the players he's already bringing in and clearly trusts.
Yeah, I've had a conversation with one player in particular and said, you know, you're not playing this week in the first game, somebody else is, but it's down to you to show me what you can do. Hopefully, I want a character who wants to come back to training and puts another 10% in to get his shirt back, not to kind of say, that's it, I'm finished, I'm leaving, I'm never playing for you, blah, 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 because that shows me more about their character, I think, anyway. So, yeah, I think the first session we had were really good, and I think the players who were at Houghton understand straight away what we want, even with an hour and a half, knew what kind of coaches we are. So I'm open, and the feedback that they enjoyed the session. We're training tonight, so we've got quite a lot of players coming again. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it will raise the standard. That's the idea anyway.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that it's a football podcast about football, and yet we've had 15 minutes. We've not really talked about anything on the pitch as such. You know, it's such a big job, isn't it, Jimmy and Andy, getting everything in place before we even think about football. So, Jimmy, you've mentioned standards numerous times. Andy, you've mentioned standards, and we're talking about attitudes and players. Once we've built that and we've got the people on board that we need, whether that manager at Barnsley's got that yet, or whether he's quite clarified who's who and what are people's motives and things like that. Once we've sorted all that and looking at on the pitch, I guess my question to you two, then I don't know which one of you wants to take it first, is do you guys pick a team based on the best ability and build a formation around that, or have you guys in your head got what you think your team should look like, and then we get players to play them roles? Do the players pick the team in terms of what the roles look like, or do we pick the roles and then we fill them with who we think's capable of does that make sense?
Jimmy, I think for myself,
go on, Andy.
Sorry, I think for myself, like, I sort of went in with a very clear idea on sort of how I wanted to play and the philosophy. And I think if you ask every manager in an ideal world, you'll have their own how you want to play. But then and what I'm finding sort of quickly over these sort of first few weeks in management is that doesn't always work. And actually, like you've sort of said there, sometimes we have to change the system to fit the capabilities we've got as a player. And like you say, you know, we've had a couple of people off injured. So again, you have to tweak it. So, you know, I think we've changed, only tweaked it. It's not been, you know, a massive change, but we've had to tweak it a little bit in formation, a little bit in tactics. to get the best out of everybody in the team. So I think ultimately, even though I want to play a certain way, at the minute, I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of either how we want to press or the shape. So we've altered it a little bit. And going into this weekend, we've altered it again a little bit to tweak it, because I think it'll fit our players better that we've currently got. So I'm sort of trying to pick a system that I still believe is going to work and that I believe in, but fits the calibre of players we've got.
Yeah. Jimmy yourself, the new manager at Barnsley, obviously plays 3-4-3 very effectively with the first victory in his first game. It looked brilliant. I'm not saying it like watching Brazil, but 3 points is 3 points, isn't it? Even though we did squander a lot of chances towards the end. I guess my question to you, Jimmy, is very similar. Have you got a formation? Have you got a shape? Or does that change depending on the abilities of players?
Yeah, we've definitely got a way of the way we want to play. So, mentioned about pressing there, that's the kind of team, high intensity pressing team we are. So if players are unable to do that or they're not fit enough, you've got a problem straight away. So that was one of the things of bringing the players in that we know. I know 100% they can do that because we've coached them and trained them that way. So it's about the other guys who are there seeing that and thinking, right, this is the way the coaches want to play. So regardless of the system you play, formation, that's the way you want to play. So they need to either maybe get fitter, or some of them maybe are fit enough to do it. So it might be tactically showing them how you want them to press, because it's not just a case of just running after the ball, and there's a way of doing it. Also, we probably, in terms of formations, there is, I think like anybody else, there's one or two formations you'd like to play, but really you need the players to play that as well. So some weeks you have to tweak that. But certainly there's a style and a way of playing that players will have to buy into. And if not, this is the reason why we get other players now. The coaching side is, can you coach a player who's not used to that into it? And we feel we can. But I think the player's got to want to be coached and want to buy into it and see what you're doing. So again, that goes back to your character and your attitude. Is he coachable? Does he want to listen? Does he want to be there? Has he got that? You know, he might think he works hard enough, and we might come in and go, you know, actually, there's another level of working hard that you might not realise, but he goes, right, okay, I will do that. Or he might think, what are these managers on about? I'm working the hardest I can. So I think character and attitude is a big thing, because sometimes I think you look at like Leeds, for example, with Bielsa, what he does, how many players he's changed positions of. So he puts them in different positions, but they still play really well. So it shows you that you can probably do that, or you can coach them. Again, does the player go, well, I'm only a centre forward, I'm not playing right wing or whatever? Or he might go, yeah, we'll go out there, and suddenly he's a better right winger than he were a striker, but he didn't realise. So you're there to help them, but they've got to want to buy into it. So I think it's, you are governed by the players you've got, the ones you can recruit, and ideally we want to play the best football. But I did an under-21s team at Worsborough, and the Shadow Scholars, where the main aim is development. So you're developing the player, not really about result, although you do like to win football matches. But now you're in first team, you're there to win the game. So these players now are not here to be developed. These are the ones we've brought in who we have developed, now got to win a football match for us. And there's two different things. So sometimes maybe you have to tweak the way you're playing before the game, during the game. You look after and say, you know, we've got a lot of young lads in our team. So physically, we will struggle. I know that straight away. But in time, that will help them. And I got that opportunity when I was younger, and can remember it was tough. But we could play football really well. So some games you did well and you won because you could play better football. Other games you physically were struggling. But you're only going to get better by playing the game. So we're trusting them to do that. And, you know, we're not stupid. We know there's certain games we'll win, and there's certain games that probably, you know, physicality-wise, you'll probably lose. But you've got to try and find a way. Of course. So I think it's going to be interesting, to be honest, in how we do that.
Yeah,
that's the challenge, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping an eye on results and seeing how you get on. I can't believe, Jimmy, you've mentioned the L word on the Barnsley FC podcast.
Sorry.
That's poor from you. It's poor.
Sorry,
you know better. You know better than that. Andy, Jimmy's mentioned strengths and weaknesses there. What is the timeline as a manager for strengths and weaknesses? And I understand it all depends on what that manager is like as a person. I understand that, sure, you've got more patience if that player is malleable and they're willing to learn and they are taking things on board. But in terms of identifying strengths and weaknesses, at what point do you go, actually, enough's enough, they're not quite there for me, and I need to make that step, and we need to have that conversation?
Tough one,
Andy. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think it varies with again, sort of the player itself, and I think attitude is a big thing. I think the massive difference for me this year is this, obviously the squad, but we've got a very young squad this year. Competing against, and like you said, we're ultimately in a competitive league to win games, but I've got an incredibly young squad. So this season for them is going to be massive in terms of the learning, the physical, because going from under 18s reserve team football to them playing first team football, physicality, it's massively different. It's just quicker, more physical. So I think this year, for me, it's just finding the balance with each player to go, do you know what, you might have had a bad game, they might have exposed your weaknesses, but actually you'll come back 10 times stronger from that because you've now experienced that. You've had that sort of disappointment in a way, but you're going to come back and fight back. But I think my biggest thing this year is we've just got to find the balance between developing people, but they're still understanding that you're actually you're in the team because you're good enough, or you're in the squad because you're good enough. So now you need to go and prove it on the pitch as well.
There's some big individual performances on Sunday and at the game that I attended. You must be pleased with some of the players and how they're coming on. Like one of the centre backs was I ain't got my notes, but one of the centre backs were impressive. I thought the right wing back, right back, I thought she was incredible. I don't think I've ever covered as much ground as that. I don't think Jimmy has either, to be honest.
I used to play wing back. I definitely have.
and then obviously the wing, is it Green?
Darcy, yeah.
Unbelievable. And then the striker who you brought on, Eliza, at the end, absolutely changed. You can just see things fall into place. It must be pleased. I know the result weren't quite there.
Yeah. Again, I think, and it's not about making excuses, but Liz has been missing for 4 games with an injury. We've had another player, I think in the second game of the season, done her ACL. So she's out. We've had a couple of people with COVID and stuff. So I don't think we've had a full strength squad, and this weekend, especially that second half, I think being able to make those substitutions that we did make, and Lissa comes back, and it just gives us a different outlet to what we had previously up front. But her energy and a pace and a strength just gives us a lot going forward in certain games. So I think with a fully fit squad again, I think we've got some really good individuals and players coming through. Again, you have. So the right back, you mentioned Tavia, she's 21, I think, right. So a good player. But the left back, Maddie, she's only just turned 17.
She another good performance, and I'm ready to believe she's a central midfielder by right, is she? Jimmy alluded to that, didn't he, a minute ago about players' strengths and playing them in positions. You've obviously spotted that.
Yeah, I think Maddie's a really good player, and I've sort of said to her this year, and I think it's a good opportunity for her to play different positions. And the prime example I've linked it to and spoke to Maddie specifically about is Alexander Arnold at Liverpool. He joined the youth system. And if you ever read Stephen Gerrard's books and that, he's mentioned him and he's played central midfield for Liverpool through the ranks at the academy and stuff. And then as soon as he's come to the first team, he's gone to right back. Yeah. I think there's definitely potential for him going back to centre mid later on in the season. But, is he going to get in ahead of some of the midfielders there now? Probably not. And it's similar for Maddie, I think, at the minute. There's times where she might play centre mid, she might play left back. She has played as a striker as well in a game for us this season. Yeah. But what I've tried to explain to her is I think, playing the left back, she's got a really good left foot. She's strong there. And it gives her a chance to get forward as well on the left wing and go and support Darcy ahead of her. And ultimately, for when she does, and if she ever goes back to centre mid, I think it'll help her because she'll know what she wants from the left back, because she's been there and done it. So, when we're out of shape or defending, it might help her position in the midfield to help the fullbacks out or the defenders out because she's been that player. She's been stood there going, well, that's what I wanted my centre mid to be doing this. So now I'm playing centre mid, I'm going to do this. Yeah, just widens understanding, doesn't it, of on the pitch shape and things. Andy's mentioned experience. He's mentioned he's got a young team. Barnsley, probably a year ago, made the mistake of having probably too many young players. It appears that that's been addressed with signings as such as Saul Bauer and Matty James. Yourself, Jimmy, it's just getting that balance right, surely, because you need energy, you need pace, but there's got to be that mindset, hasn't there? There's got to be a winning mentality. There's got to be a know-how on how to win games.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at 2 players in particular who I know I'm trying to get in to come and sign. One's a defender, one's a striker, and I've already got a midfielder in there who's not too old, but he's played a lot of matches in league above. So you need that spine of players that probably help the younger players with the experience. And we had our first game last Saturday and we lost 4-3 now. We played fantastic. We've missed the bar 3 times at the post, won a lot of chances missed. So positive in terms of how many chances created. A couple of the goals we conceded were goals that we probably will concede more often because of physicality from set pieces, and we knew that going into the game. The league we're in, you get a lot of guys around 30, maybe just under, just over, whereas a lot of our boys are under 20, are under 20, or 19, 20, and it's the first ever, that was probably their first ever game in men's football. So the way they're taught and they play football on the floor, a lot of the teams, and they particularly we played, went really long, so there's a lot of heading has to be done. So we knew that, and it's just trying to get the players to come and play at the level we're at, really, because the ones we're trying to get play higher.
Yeah.
But, you know, some are friends, some are people I've played with and stuff like that. Some, you know, travelling can be an issue nowadays with playing in higher leagues and things with what's going on. So you've got to get the balance right. But it will be a young team. I want to play young players, but you need 1 or 2 experienced guys in there to help, not just help them, help get your results as well. And they can learn off. And the particular people you need in are good characters, and going back again with good attitudes, good characters who want to help these players and are not going to have a go at young players with frustration because they can't do what players can do from teams they've played at. And you've got to get the right guys in.
Of course. Both of you seem to be managing similar type of players in terms of experience and age, and probably just not having as much as what you expect. So you'd hope that chairman might be a little bit more patient with you both in getting that right. I'm not so sure Barnsley's chairman have got the patience at the minute, because the difficulty they've got is they are battling in Championship with you know, similar resources to possibly League One football, and it's a difficult task. Obviously, he's got off to an absolute flyer with 3 points. Andy, yourself, you've not got off to a massive flyer. I'm sorry to put a downer on it, but it's going to take time, isn't it, your job? It's not an overnight fix, is it?
No, I think, you know, like I say, if you look at the squad from last season to this season, it's massive change. A lot of young players, like we mentioned. A lot of their first sort of, you know, if you looked at the amount of debuts in terms of like under 21-year-olds playing this year in the 30, it would be very high, the percentage. But I think from a lot of the performances, it's just learning how to win. And I think it's actually, you know, when you look at the games and some of the results, you know, we lost a couple of games. We lost to Stockport 2-0. And honestly, I thought we were the better team. You know, I thought we created quite a lot. 2 poor goals, you know, sort of cheap goals we conceded, and you suddenly lose the game 2-0. You know, last weekend, like you mentioned, we were 3-0 down at half time, and I don't think we deserved to be. I thought we were the better team in possession. I thought we created a few chances, and again, there weren't worldy goals. I think there were just a couple of people out of position, a bit of an experience, just wrong decision making. But then the fight from the second half, I think that's now the catalyst to go, do you know what, we won that second half 2-0. And we're on a bit of a comeback. So if we can go and do that, we've got a good game this weekend in the FA Cup against Leeds. It's a bit of a, you know, a derby game.
Yeah. It's been mentioned twice. Leeds have been mentioned twice. You two are not coming on here again, ever.
That's because I'm playing them now. You know, I'm hoping to get one over on them, aren't I?
Well, we might as well talk about that now. This weekend coming up then. Jimmy, yourself, you've been incredibly busy with the academy, the Momentous Academy this week. I'm right in thinking that there's going to be some more. There's something on Friday, is that right?
Yeah, so we had, it's our first ever kind of holiday camp we've done. So we did Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We just thought we'd do 3 days, not really be able to judge how many are going to come and what it's going to be like. A lot of feedback from parents that, you know, you should have done it all week kind of thing. So we managed to, yesterday managed to get the venue again for Friday. We thought we were going to have to leave Thursday in terms of not being able to get the message out there quick enough. So we had last night and all Thursday, and we've had plenty of people booking. So we're same time.
Still spaces,
Friday.
Jimmy?
Yeah, still, yeah. We'll accommodate. We've been getting kind of 40 to 50 kids coming every day. We can take more. We just, in terms of we get more kids, we'll get a couple more coaches in to help. So yeah, they've really, and it's just about fun. It's not too much about coaching, to be honest. On the camps, it's little small-sided games that are fun. It's the holidays and they want to go on, you know, little crossbar challenges and different kind of things. But lads have really enjoyed it. So we've had kids from 5 and 6 year old up to 14. So a real big mix. So it's it's gone better than we could have thought, really. So yeah, it's pleasing.
That's keeping in line with Andy being present. Many girls turning up, Jimmy?
I think we had 2. One of them a really good player, actually, who comes to our sessions normally. So it's something me and Martin's been speaking about, tapping into the girls' football, because there seems to be a lot more teams, a lot more, girls wanting to play. So, they'd come and play at Momentous as well. So it's definitely something we're wanting to look. Now we've established a little bit, it's something we want to do, take us to that next level as well.
Of course. And this weekend, what's your fixture, Jimmy? And where is it? And can fans attend?
Yes, you can attend, Chris. You're welcome. It's 2 p.m. kickoff now. We're at home to Sheffield Town. So now 2 o'clock kickoffs in this league with the clocks going back. So yeah, hopefully, I think they're a young side as well. I've had a bit of information on them from people I know. So they're a bit of a young side like us, quick, so similar. So it should be quite an entertainment. And again, this is why it's a challenge in this league. Last week was the polar opposite of that. There probably weren't a player there under 30 for Outerbridge who we played. Yeah. Very direct, very experienced. We were winning 3 times in the game and ended up losing 4-3. So that experience, they just kind of kept in the game. And it's mentioned about having to manage the game, how to win it, and something we need to speak to the players about, taking the sting out of the game when you're winning, maybe keeping possession slow. It was a bit of an end-to-end game. It were 1-1 at half-time, finished 4-3. So as soon as we went 2-1 up, it was 2-2, 3-2 up, it was 3-3. And they scored with sort of 5 minutes to go. It could have gone either way then, but it's disappointing when you're winning 3 times and you come away with nothing and you should have won. Yeah, I'd have been gutted with a point, and we ended up getting on. So that's management, and it's straight away after day 1. So
brilliant. And Andy, yourself, you've got a massive cup game against Leeds, so that's a big one for yourself. Results obviously would be amazing, but you're just looking for another good performance, are you not?
Yeah, I think, like I say, we've got a couple of players back from injury, so I think it's a good opportunity we're at home at the Barnsley Academy on the 3G pitch behind Oakwell. So I think it's a good opportunity to play good football again, go and improve. And look, it's FA Cup, so I think going to win it is the ideal. So I think there's an opportunity for us definitely to go and get a positive result.
Of course, and nobody can attend that due to COVID restrictions regarding Oakwell, but there is alternate commentary and video, I'm led to believe, for £3.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we've got a live stream where you can watch the game from the comforts of your own home from your own home with a cup of tea and that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we're doing at the minute with the home games. Yeah.
That's great. And I did commentary last week for you. Hopefully, Jimmy, you might come and join me on that at some point. That'd be nice. Yeah. Get an experience.
Let me know.
And likewise, me and Andy can repay it fair. I mean, I know it back at net is Jimmy, if ever you need me. And
we do need a striker. Now you've come to mention it.
Well, and Andy's an absolute ball. Andy played for the Reds Report team last year in charity game, and he's some player. He's one of the best players ever played.
Is this the guy? Yeah, this is you were telling me. Yeah. Available for that as well.
He's too busy, Jimmy. He's too busy. No, gents, thank you very much for joining us on the Reds Report. I hope you come back, Andy.
Yeah, no, I've loved it. I'd definitely love to come back. Definitely, really enjoyed it.
Good man. I'll be keeping an eye on results and whatnot, and we'll keep in touch. I've no doubt see you at weekend. All right. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Spot on. Jimmy, yourself, good luck at weekend. Good luck at camp on Friday. Send me love to Martin. Spot on. See you later, lads. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.